With Monster Hunter World Iceborne comes Master Rank, a challenge that will test every hunter, but with the right gear and builds, hunters can overcome anything. I'm Darcblade, and we're back with even more amazing builds for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at full set beginner builds for the hammer. The hammer is a hard hitting weapon, capable of awesome DPS, while at the same time having the bonus of having a natural knockout and exhaustion effect to each swing. It is also a weapon that synergizes really well with the Clutch Claw, thanks to the Clutch Claw being involved in certain combos, allowing the hammer more mobility and ease of access when it comes to tenderizing monsters. Now, a disclaimer though for this series: as Iceborne is still young, most hunters may not have been able to farm everything they need for the most high-end mix-set builds. So this series focuses instead on full set builds, highlighting some of the amazing armor designs while at the same time helping new players get through the main story of Monster Hunter World Iceborne. As a result, these builds will not feature Elder Dragon loot or augmentations, and most of the customization will come in the form of different jewels, charms and weaponry. So the first build I use for the hammer is the Great Jagras Elementalist build. This build utilizes one of the earliest armor sets you can get, the Great Jagras set, and the Master Rank version of this armor set is fully functional, coming with great skills that are useful in almost any build, making it a great and functional beginner build for anyone starting Master Rank. So for this build I used the entire Great Jagras set, which includes the Jagras Helm Alpha, Mail Alpha, Vambraces Alpha, Coil Alpha and Greaves Alpha. I'm also using an Exploited Charm 2, and for my weapon I'm using the Mammoth Hoof 2. This is the Bambaro Hammer. When it comes to the jewels, now everyone may be different with their jewel collection, and ultimately at the end of the day use what you want to use. But for this build I went with Vitality Jewels to give us a little bit of extra health boost. I've gone for a Tenderizer Jewel to max out Weakness Exploit, a Slider Jewel for that Affinity Sliding, an Elementalist Jewel to give us that non-elemental boost to the build, and afterwards I had a few slots free to which I've used Critical Jewels to max out the crit boost, and one of these Critical Jewels also had a Maintenance Jewel giving us a point in the Tool Specialist skill. It would have been nice to have a Vitality byproduct with this Critical Jewel, but unfortunately, as I said at the start of the video, Iceborne is still young and we're still farming these level 4 jewels, unfortunately. But anyway, if you have done what I've done here, you should have a build with 130 health, 100 stamina, to which your health will be higher when you're on a hunt and taking all your relevant consumables. You have an attack of 1669 with blue sharpness. Unfortunately, the Bambaro Hammer, the Mammoth Hoof, cannot get above blue sharpness, but as a result it has very high raw attack, it's easy to craft, and on top of that it doesn't really require any handicraft. Anyway, you'll also have 5% affinity, which will actually be 55% affinity when you're on a hunt and you're going for monster weak points and you've tenderized those said weak points beforehand. You'll have no element, and as for your defense, you're fairly strong against water and dragon, but fairly weak to the other elements. As for the skills, you'll have attack boost level 4. This will increase the attack of your build, and at level 4 you also get a bonus 5% affinity. You'll have recovery up, level 3, increasing how much we heal through healing methods, so taking a potion and such. You have crit boost level 3, increasing the damage of our attacks when we land critical hits, but this only applies to the raw portion of our attacks, so wouldn't really affect the elemental portion of our attack if we were using an elemental weapon. Anyway, we'll have Weakness Exploit level 3. Weakness Exploit increases our affinity by a set percentage when we're attacking monster weak points, and this is increased even further if that monster weak point has been tenderized beforehand. At level 3 is a potential maximum of 50%. You have Evade Extender level 3. This is a byproduct of the gear, but is a quality of life skill. It allows you to dodge further, helping you avoid incoming attacks or catch up with a monster without having to sheathe your weapon. You have Speed Eating level 3, again a byproduct, but again it is a quality of life skill. This enables you to consume potions and other items at a very quick rate. You have Health Boost level 2, this increases our maximum health. Would have been nice to get this to level 3, and if you find that you're getting one-shotted, it may be wise to invest an extra point in this. You have Free Meal level 1, this again is a byproduct of the gear and gives us a small percentage of not consuming a potion or other consumable when we take it. You have Tool Specialist level 1, a byproduct of our jewels. This basically reduces the cooldowns on our mantles. You have Affinity Sliding level 1, which increases our affinity by a large percentage after performing a sliding move. And as the hammer has one of the best sliding moves in the game, this is quite a useful talent. And finally you'll have non-elemental boost level 1, increasing the raw attack of our build so long as our weapon doesn't have an element or the element or ailment is hidden. So there we have it. As you can see, it is a straightforward build. With quality of life skills coupled with DPS skills, it's perfect for beginners heading into master rank. And in all honesty, it can be used with any weapon. Just remember though, if you take a weapon that has an ailment or element, you can swap out the Elementalist jewel for something else. Lastly, one bonus for this build is that as it's an Elementalist build, it can be used against any monster regardless of their ailment or elemental weaknesses. But anyway, let's move on to the next build, which is a little bit of a quirky build, which is the Vespoid Crowd Control build. This build makes use of the paralysis ailment as well as the natural knockout effect that the hammer comes with. So for this build you'll need the entire Vespoid armor set, which includes the Helm Beta, Mail Beta, Vambraces Beta, Coil Beta and Greaves Beta. I'm also using a Handicraft Charm 3, and for my weapon I'm using the Naga Matraka 2. This is found in the Great Gyros tree. As for your jewels, you have a fair few to play around with here, but I've gone for mostly crowd controlling jewels. So I've gone for Paralyzer jewels to max out the paralysis attack of this build. I've then gone for KO jewels to max out the slugger skill. These KO jewels also have byproducts which include vitality jewels, to which I've added a few more to max out our health boost. They also have a byproduct of having medicine jewels attached to them, increasing the recovery up skill. After which I've gone for expert jewels for some critical eye, and finally a sharp jewel to provide us with that protective polish skill. So if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 150 health, 100 stamina, which will be 200 health when you're on a hunt and taking all the relevant consumables. You'll have an attack of 1326 with white sharpness, with 30% affinity, with a paralysis rating of 670, and as for your defense, you're strong against every single element except for fire. As for the skills, you have Paralysis Attack level 4, increasing the paralysis damage and build up of this build. You have Health Boost level 3, Handicraft level 3, Handicraft increases the sharpness of whatever weapon we are using. You have Slugger level 3, which increases the knockout potential of a build. You have Recovery Up level 2, Critical Eye level 2. Critical Eye increases our affinity by a set percentage. You have Paralysis Resistance level 1, a byproduct of the gear but comes in handy for resisting paralysis attacks. You have Windproof level 1, again a byproduct but comes in useful for resisting wind effects, which is great for when fighting flying wyverns. You have Critical Draw level 1, a byproduct of the gear but increases our affinity when we perform draw attacks. You have Quick Sheath level 1, again a byproduct but allows us to sheath our weapon a little bit quicker. And you'll have Protective Polish level 1. Protective Polish allows us to put a protective coating over our sharpness gauge, preventing any sharpness loss for a small duration. And as we only have a sliver of white sharpness, this is very useful for this build. So as you can see, it is a little bit of a quirky build, focusing on crowd controlling skills over anything else. Yes, it does have some defensive skills, thanks to the health boost at level 3, and the fact that it is only really weak to fire. But the main draw of this build is its ability to paralyze a monster as well as potentially knock them out. Of course, taking a monster's ailment weaknesses into account is definitely recommended when using this build, as if they are resistant to paralysis or stun effects, this build isn't going to be that effective. But should you be able to rotate between paralyzing a monster, knocking them out, combined with traps, then this build makes up for its lower DPS, thanks to the monster being incapacitated for a large duration of the hunt, allowing you to freely perform the harder hitting moves the hammer has in its arsenal. Anyway, let's move on to the next build, which is the Beartus Ice Build. This build makes use of the entire Beartus set, which naturally makes this an ice elemental build coupled with amazing quality of life skills. So for this build you'll need the entire Beartus set, which includes the Beo Helm Alpha, Male Beta, Vambraces Alpha, Male Alpha, Vambraces Alpha, Coil Alpha, Greaves Alpha, and for my charm I'm using an Attack Charm 4, which, to be honest, if you're leveling it up through Iceborne for the first time, this will only be an Attack Charm 3, as the materials required to get it to level 4 are found in the Guiding Lands, which is an endgame activity. You'll also have the Pykrete Punisher. As for your jewels, you've only got a few to play around with, so I've gone for Tenderizer jewels to max out Weakness Exploit and KO jewels to max out the Slugger skill. So if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 150 health, 100 stamina, which will be 200 health when you're on a hunt and taking all your relevant consumables. You'll have an attack of 1440 with white sharpness, with 5% affinity, which will actually be 55% affinity if you're going for monster weak points and those weak points have been tenderized first. You have an ice rating of 660 with a defense that is strong against ice and dragon, neutral against water, but weak to thunder and fire. As for the skills, you have earplugs level 5. This is a byproduct of the gear, it's naturally built into it. This allows you to ignore all monster rules, preventing any interruption in your attacks, or potentially allowing you to retreat, reposition, heal, set up traps, whatever. You have ice attack level 5. This increases the ice rating and damage of this build. You have an attack boost of level 4, although this will actually only be level 3 if you're going through Monster Hunter World Iceborne for the first time, and in which case I would advise dropping one of the jewels, probably a KO jewel, in favour of an attack jewel, so you can get that attack boost to level 4. You'll have health boost level 3, weakness exploit level 3, Slugger level 3, aquatic polar mobility level 2, a byproduct of the gear but allows you to more easily move through deep snow and water. And you'll have stamina surge level 1. This again is a byproduct of the gear but allows us to recharge our stamina more quickly. So there you have it. As you can see, it is really quite a simple build, but for me personally, I love the skills that this set comes with. The increase to your health is always beneficial, especially as you're learning new monster fights, patterns and techniques. The earplugs is a wonderful quality of life skill, and on top of that, the ice attack combined with the attack boost makes this a strong DPS build, especially if a monster is weak to the ice element. Lastly, if you do have the jewels, you have that bonus slugger skill that can allow you to crowd control a monster slightly by exhausting them or knocking them out if you're hitting them in the head. But anyway, let's move on to the fourth and final build, which is the Black Diablos knockout build. This uses the entire Black Diablos set, which comes with a unique set bonus, Slugger Secrets, increasing the maximum slugger skill we can have on the build. So for this build, I've gone for the entire Diablos Nero set, which is the Black Diablos set, which includes the Helm Beta, Mail Beta, Braces Beta, Coil Beta and Greaves Beta. I've also gone for an Attack Charm 4, again it will be an Attack Charm 3 if you're going through Monster Hunter World Iceborne story for the first time, and for my weapon I'm using the Brachytail Hammer, which is the Brachydios Hammer. Basically it's Brachydios' tail stuck on a big stick. Anyway, as for the jewels, you've got a fair few to play around with here. Firstly, I've gone for KO jewels to max out the Slugger skill. These have come with byproducts, including a Vitality jewel, to which I've added some more Vitality jewels on top of that to give us an extra health boost. And the other KO jewel also came with a Medicine jewel, allowing for a point in recovery up. Anyway, you'll also want to go for Tenderizer jewels to max out weakness exploit. I've also gone for a Fervor jewel, which increases the resentment skill of this build. This has also got an additional Vitality jewel attached to it. And finally, I've gone for Blast jewels here as well to increase the blast rating of this build. However, I would recommend changing one of these out for an attack jewel if you're going through Monster Hunter World Iceborne story for the first time, as it will increase your attack boost to level 4, which is the same as the charm I'm using as you see in this video. But anyway, if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 150 health, 100 stamina, which will be 200 health when you're on a hunt and taking all your relevant consumables. You'll have an attack of 1492 with white sharpness, with 5% affinity, which will be 55% affinity when you're on a hunt and you're going for monster weak points, and those weak points have been tenderized first. You have a blast rating of 620 with a decent defense, especially against fire and dragon. You're neutral against thunder, but you're fairly weak to thunder and ice. As for the skills, you'll have Slugger level 5. Normally Slugger can only get to level 3, but with the set bonus that the Black Diablos set comes with, you can get it to level 5, increasing the knockout potential of our build even further. So when using this build, try to always aim for the monster's head, as they'll be seeing stars for the majority of a hunt. You'll also have attack boost level 4, resentment level 4. Resentment is a byproduct of our jewels and gear. Basically, when we have a portion of red health on our health bar, it increases our raw attack, adding to our overall DPS. You have health boost level 3, blast attack level 3. Blast attack increases the blast damage and build up of our build. You have weakness exploit level 3, Part Breaker level 2, although it will be level 3 when you're wearing your mantles. This is a byproduct of the gear but helps us break monster body parts more easily. You have Marathon Runner level 2, again a byproduct of the gear but reduces the stamina depletion when we're performing actions that consume stamina constantly, such as sprinting, or when we're actually holding down and charging up the hammer itself. And finally you'll have Recovery Up level 1, which is a byproduct of the jewels, as I've already mentioned. And finally you'll have the set bonus Diablo's Ambition Slugger Secret. This increases the potential Slugger skill to a maximum of level 5 instead of 3. So as you can see, this is a build making use of that Slugger Secret set bonus, allowing a hunter to potentially continuously knock out a monster. As the hammer has a natural knockout effect as well, with each swing, it can really make use of this set bonus. On top of that, the other skills that come with this build are aimed around having a high DPS, namely having an increase in your raw attack as well as your blast rating. It doesn't have the best affinity out there, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference when the main aim of this build is to knock out a monster as much as possible and then focus damage on their weak points, namely their head. So there we have it, those were beginner full set builds that I used for the hammer in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now of course there are a lot more endgame mix sets to come, and as I always say, you don't have to use what is shown in these videos. Use what you want to use, as most tasks in Monster Hunter World Iceborne can be taken on with any item or gear set. Also, builds taken from previous seasons can still work in Iceborne, at least for early game. They will have the DPS, but they may lack the survivability. But anyway, I hope you found this video informative or helpful, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you beginner Iceborne builds that I use for the hammer in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.